Everyone assumed I was shattered. The dainty housewife in the navy pillbox hat, nodding politely while neighbors pressed casseroles into my hands and whispered, "She'll be lost without him." I let them think it. Easier that way. That night the house sounded wrong. Too much echo, not enough oxygen. I drifted past the grandfather clock Victor wound every Sunday like a religion, past the china cabinet I'd dusted for 44 years, until I stood in front of the only door that had ever been off-limits, his den. Private matters. You wouldn't understand the numbers. For 4 decades, I believed him. Tonight I found a paperclip and a YouTube tutorial. The lock surrendered with a click that felt like a bone breaking. Inside was a museum of obsession. Steel filing cabinets labeled in his blocky handwriting. Dorothy, expenses. Dorothy, phone records 2011 to 2024. Dorothy, mood and sleep cycle. Dorothy, approved visitors. I opened one drawer and my own life spilled out. Grocery receipts annotated in red. Excessive spending on fresh flowers, discuss. Diary pages I'd torn out and burned, somehow resurrected and highlighted, printouts of texts I'd deleted because he'd asked me to. On the desk sat a thick sealed envelope, for Dorothy, to be opened only in event of my death. Inside, a brand new will, dated 4 months ago, witnessed by Leonard and 2 golf buddies, funneling everything into a revocable trust with Leonard as sole trustee, to shield Dorothy from complex decisions during this difficult transition. Next to it, a pre-filed petition for guardianship claiming I'd been showing early-onset cognitive impairment for years. Attached, a neuropsych report I'd never taken, signed by a doctor whose name rang a bell. He'd been at our Christmas party asking if I still drove at night. At the bottom, Victor's neat postscript. "If you're reading this, you finally disobeyed me. Enjoy the mess, darling." I didn't sleep. I made copies until the printer begged for mercy. 3 days later, Leonard arrived with a moving truck and a court clerk, ready to help me transition. I met him on the porch holding a banker's box labeled Exhibit AZ. Change of plans, Leonard. Behind me stood Vanessa Ortiz, 34, former prosecutor, current nightmare in 4-inch heels. Leonard went the color of spoiled milk. The hearing was held on a Tuesday that smelled like rain and justice. I wore bright coral. Victor once said only fast women wore loud colors after 65. Vanessa laid out 44 years of surveillance in neat, brutal rows, calendars tracking how many minutes I spent on the phone with my sister before he cut the landline, memory tests he invented to prove I was declining, bank statements where every bookstore purchase was circled as impulsive. Leonard's attorney tried the "he was only protecting her" defense. I asked to speak. I learned to make myself small so he could feel large, I told the judge, voice steady as cathedral bells. Today I brought a tape measure. The judge didn't smile, but her gavel hit the bench like a starting gun. Trust invalidated. Guardianship petition dismissed with prejudice. Leonard ordered to pay my legal fees and a sanction that made him gasp out loud. The lake house, the accounts, the vintage Mustang he babied more than me, mine. All of it. I turned the den into a sun porch with white wicker and too many plants. The first morning the light poured in, I danced barefoot to Aretha Franklin loud enough for the neighbors to call the cops. They didn't. They brought lemonade instead. Every Thursday night, I host coffee on that porch for women who flinch when someone says "for your own good." We don't cry much anymore. We make lists, passwords, account numbers, escape funds. We practice saying no until it stops tasting like poison. If somebody's telling you you're too old, too fragile, too confused to handle your own life, listen close. That's not concerned talking. That's the sound of chains. Break them. I did, at 70, and the sunrise has never been louder.